What do you think is the hardest one that individuals have a hard time actually doing?
Depends. Everybody's separate. Everybody's different. For somebody is financial. For somebody is emotional. For
Makes
somebody it can be just even like getting moving again, like say even weight loss or something like this. For
Yeah,
like, I've had some people who like that will be number one thing for them
got it.
after leaving, and everybody is different for like what they have to start with. Depends what was the most controlled. Maybe what was the most controlled part of it.
Yeah. I would say my toughest was probably what I said after going through the whole list. It's still the same. Don't believe anything he says. That was the biggest thing. I had a really hard time with that, even after I left, because we still kept in contact. I still worked for him. So I left the romantic relationship. But because I was so integrated and pretty much ran his entire corporation for him, when I left saying I was leaving everything. He freaked out. He was like, I can't do this by myself. I don't even know the password to my own bank account. I don't know anything. You can't do this. So I kind of like strong armed him because I had been abused for so long. I didn't even care. I purposely did it. And went back in. I left for like 2 weeks straight, no contact. And he was calling and blowing up my phone. The corporation was going down. They were losing sales. He didn't know where anything was. He was freaking out. And he left me a voicemail crying, literally crying. And I called him back and I asked for triple the pay. And I asked to use one of his company vehicles because he took everything. Mm-hmm. And he freaking agreed right there on the spot. He gave me the shittiest vehicle he had. He gave me a 2008 Toyota Sienna van, tan, with no air conditioning and like stains all over it. But I didn't even care. He paid for the gas. No. He paid for the insurance and he paid. Yeah, I got to use the car for free. I paid for gas. Mm-hmm. And for 2 years, I stayed with him, making quite a bit of money. Mm-hmm. And then I just couldn't handle it anymore. Mm-hmm. But during those 2 years, he was still mocking me the entire time. He found out where I lived. He wound up following me home eventually, over those 2 years, found out where I lived. He'd knock on my door randomly, all hours. He'd barge in. He saw that I had no furniture, saw that I had no decorations. He would poke fun constantly. And at work, constantly just saying shitty things, just saying crappy things to me. And it hurt. It really did. It was probably the worst part was, and I go home crying all the time. Probably half the time he would bring me to tears. And it was because I believed what he said, which is exactly what you're saying. You can't believe what they're saying. Mm-hmm. And doing what you talked about. Don't believe anything that he says. And then, remind yourself that it's not real. They're just saying it to say it. They live in like a fantasy world. Their world is not a real world. And you have to just remind yourself it's not real. This is not real.
But they want you to, like, that's the brainwashing part, when they want to change you.
Yeah.
So one of the things as well, like when people start that kind of relationship and they think about like, oh, I can change that person.
Yeah.
I always say like, no, you're not going to change them. What's going to happen? They're going to change you. Exactly. They know how to change those people. They already practiced like previous relationship. They know how to brainwash those people to change, to do what they want them to do.
You're right. You're 100% right. That's what they do. Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's 100%. Why, like, they're gonna tell you what you think, what you feel, and what you're doing. Doesn't matter if you really think, do, or any of that. Doesn't matter what the reality. Like you're saying, it's not real.
It's not.
Because it doesn't matter why it's real. They want you to think that's real. So
Yeah.
that's how it works.
I agree. I love what you're doing. I love the 7 steps. I've read a lot of books. I actually have a few of them here. I'm constantly I'm taking out books from the library, and I read them and I pull from them, and then the information I pull from them I use. And a lot of them do have steps, but yours are, I think I appreciate yours because they're so comprehensive, easy to digest, and they're not complicated.
No.
And they'll literally get you to the next step.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these things that you read, there's so much other stuff kind of like intertwined in there. It gets hard, and you're just like, I'm so tired and I'm so beat down and I can't do all of these things. And yours is comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to the point and comprehensive. And I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing that. It's brilliant.
Yeah. Because always going back to like people, and maybe I thought the same way before I left, and I've heard so many times that still people say it like, why don't you just leave? Like you said, like you left, but you still had to be there for 2 more years.
Yep. When I also left, I left twice full. I packed up my stuff and I moved. The first time I moved to my parents' house, they actually came and got me across state lines. They came with a truck and a U-Haul, and they came. I put all my stuff in, and I moved in with my parents. Huh?
Let me stop you for a second. Remember you said like how those steps are easy to take? This is a step you're taking where you allow all the help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take all the help you get.
Yep.
Like that's
But then I moved back because I still kept in contact with him. I didn't go no contact. I was weak, didn't know about narcissism.
Yeah.
And within 6 months, all that stuff that my parents helped me do, I put it right back into a truck and drove back across state lines, moved back in with him. And then I did it again like 5 years later. I was with him for 13 years. 5 years later, did it again. Packed all my stuff up by myself in a car, moved in with my best friend across state lines, went from Pennsylvania to Chicago, and lived with her again, 9 months, something, and did the whole thing again and wasted like another 5 years, 6 years,
Mm-hmm.
So
that goes back, like I said, like we're gonna go back and forth and things. That goes back to like what you really want, and like when I wanted to say, no, get to know yourself.
yeah.
Because if you don't get to know yourself and you don't change, what we started with, if you don't change, then you keep on going back to that same thing again.
Yep.